What is sourdough? Sourdough bread is a type of bread leavened naturally using wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria. Sourdough bread is easy to digest, lower on the glycemic index, and richer in nutrients compared to conventional bread, which is a big part of why people love it. Let's walk through the process of baking a loaf, paying special attention to the chemistry behind it.
To begin the process of making a loaf of sourdough, you must first feed your starter. To do this, you mix equal parts starter, flour, and water. After mixing, you cover it with something breathable and place a rubber band at the level of the starter.
What is fermentation? Fermentation is what makes sourdough special. Tiny wild yeast and bacteria living in the dough eat the flour's natural sugars. The yeast releases carbon dioxide gas, which create bubbles that makes the bread rise. The bacteria produces acid, which gives the sourdough a distinct, tangy flavor.
I like to use fresh milled flour in my sourdough, so I use my grain mill and I grind my wheat berries into fresh flour. This fresh flour has many nutrients that are necessary for humans and make the bread one of the healthiest options. When using fresh milled flour, you need to soak the flour in the liquid of your recipe so that it can soften the bran. If you don't do this, it can affect the development of gluten later on in the process. Soak the flour for 30 minutes. Almost there. Now we mix in the rest of the flour and the starter, which will make our dough rise. Now you can measure out your salt. Salt is necessary to make sourdough taste good. This is the final ingredient. Once everything is combined, leave the dough to set for 1 hour. We will now perform 4 sets of folds to develop the gluten of our dough. After each fold, we let the dough sit for 30 minutes.
Gluten development is what gives sourdough its chewy, stretchy texture, instead of crumbling apart like a cracker. When you mix flour and water, 2 proteins in the flour grab onto each other and form gluten, a web-like network that holds the dough together. The longer you knead or fold the dough, the stronger and more elastic that the web becomes. When the yeast produces carbon dioxide bubbles during fermentation, the gluten web traps them, and that's what gives sourdough its airy holes and satisfying chewy texture.
Now we let the dough ferment and rise. When the dough is fermented, we take it out and shape the loaves. First, you cut the dough into 2 pieces because we are making 2 loaves of bread. Then you do something called a pre-shape. This essentially tells the gluten strands that they need to be in this shape. While the dough rests, we will prepare our bowls that are lined with tea towels so that our dough does not stick. To shape the dough, you stretch it out and then roll it up into a ball. As you do this, you will use the counter to provide tension, and you can pull the surface of the bread tight. You can then loosely tie up your loaf. We will place the loaf in a plastic bag to keep a humid environment when we put it in the fridge. By placing the sourdough in the fridge, we do something called a cold retard. In this process, the dough gets much colder and firmer so that when we put it in the oven, the temperature difference will make it spring up. It also continues to slowly ferment and develop the flavor of the bread. The next morning, you will preheat your Dutch oven to 450 degrees. Remove your loaf from the bowl it was in and place it on a sheet of parchment paper. Then you will make a deep slash along one side. This is so that when the dough rises in the oven, it does not burst. Place the sourdough back in the Dutch oven and place the Dutch oven in the oven. Bake for 20 minutes with the lid on. This will trap steam and help it rise. Remove the lid and lower the temperature to 425 degrees. After it has cooled to room temperature, slice your sourdough and enjoy.